Hey there, this is John Rhett Thomas. Many of you know me best as Gormu from my many years and your many years of being a member of the Collected Editions Forum, formerly MarvelMasterworks.com. It's now CollectedEditions.com. Also doing a lot of work with Marvel, editing the Taschen Marvel Comics library, and basically being a source of news and information for a lot of collected editions, specifically, especially stuff coming out of Marvel with Marvel Masterworks. This is the first episode of a little video blog I've been thinking about doing. It's called Gin and Comics. This is my gin today. It is called Bar Hill Gin. And this is my glass of gin with tonic. And we're talking about comics. Gin and Comics is going to be me drinking gin and hopefully keeping things together enough to talk with some degree of sobriety about the medium that we love. And today is going to be a very lo-fi episode. For the first episode, why not start at the floor, so that future episodes we can look back and go, boy, he's come a long way. So this is very low tech. And the reason it's very low tech right now is because an announcement has come out of San Diego today that the Marvel Masterworks, which last year in 2025 was brought to a close by Marvel, is now back. It's back, licensed by Clover Press, who is an imprint that has done a lot of art books lately. In fact, Curtis Findlay, who's a name that's familiar to many people who like comic books and collected editions, and at the Epic Collections especially. He is in San Diego right now. He's up for an Eisner Award for his work on some of the art books that Clover Press has been doing. They also did the Spider-Man newspaper strip books, which have been talked very well about lately, about the reproduction and the restoration values of those. So now they've picked up the Masterworks. And to that I say, here's a toast to Clover Press. This is a very honey-infused gin. It's not particularly my taste. I'm more of a classic straight gin guy. I don't like them infused with fancy schmancy taste profiles. But in this case, I made it a whimsical choice when I saw it on the shelf, and I said, I'm going to try that. It's probably not something I will try again. It's a very strong honey taste, very sweet. We're going to put that back up there and hope it doesn't fall on my comics. Yeah, I don't have a buzz yet from that, but I do have a buzz from this news out of San Diego. Chris Arendt with Popverse, he got the news out of a little meeting that they had, that Clover Press had behind closed doors. Apparently, it wasn't a public panel where they had discussed what's happening with the Masterworks and what's next. And so the link is up on my site. You can also find it circulating on the forums, the collectededitions.com forums, the link to Chris's reporting, which indicates that the first 4 volumes will be coming out in 2027, which is right around the corner as far as these things go. That's about 6 months from now. Of course, all these things probably will change, but for now, we're looking at early 27, and the first 4 volumes are a volume of Uncanny X-Men, which will continue the Chris Claremont run, and Walter Simonson's Thor, which I believe will be the 3rd of 4 volumes. That will also include the Balder the Brave miniseries, and hopefully in the proper order with the Thor series. And the other 2 volumes are a Tomb of Dracula volume, which is really thrilling to know that they're going to go, Clover Press is going to go in that direction. They're going to not just do the high profile lines like Uncanny X-Men, but they're also going to do the more, Tomb of Dracula is definitely something that hardcore Masterworks fans respond to, but perhaps in the wider public, maybe not as interested in. But it's nice to know that Clover Press is going to see that line through to its conclusion. It will be the 6th and final volume of that classic series by Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan and Tom Palmer. And so that's really, really exciting. And then the other volume is Supervillain Team Up, which will be a done-in-one, presumably. I believe that series was about 18 issues, and there might be some other extra issues thrown in there to sort of fill that volume out. As I mentioned on the forum, to me, that represents a nice coda to the Submariner series. The 8-volume Submariner set, which wrapped up with a really great volume, heavy with Bill Everett, early 70s Bill Everett stuff. And Supervillain Team Up not only has a bunch of Namor stories, but also Red Skull and Doctor Doom. And so Doctor Doom is going to be a key figure in the upcoming Avengers movie. So perhaps that has something to do with it. So those are going to be the first 4 volumes. Another unique thing about this is it will be crowdfunded through Kickstarter. And this is one of the things that has set Clover Press apart from other publishers, is that they really have figured out a way to make crowdfunding work for them. I've participated in some crowdfunding things in the past. Pretty much everything I've contributed to, not much, but a few, has worked out for me. I remember I got the Swords of the Swashbuckler hardcover, which was a beautiful book of the Bill Mantlo and Butch Keith's material from the epic run of that series. I got a t-shirt and everything. I don't know what Clover Press has in store for this. I don't know if they're going to do 4 books in one bundle, or if they're going to do them separately. Presumably they'll have all those figured out. I do have many, many questions. And in fact, those questions, I've been in discussions with Hank at Clover Press. He is the publisher at Clover Press. And we're going to be doing an interview in a future episode of Jen and Comics, where we discuss a lot of the finer points of the rollout of the upcoming Masterworks. There's, of course, Masterworks fans are thrilled to know that the line's continuing, but there are a lot of questions you will have. How to spend your money, where to spend your money, when to spend your money, how to budget for these things, if there's going to be any extra add-ons. Kickstarters are known for having these tiers where if you contribute more, you get some cool stuff, cool privileges or whatever. And so those are the kind of things that we'll be talking with Hank about. There's other things that I do know, although I'm not at liberty to talk about them yet. But we will be diving into all that stuff at the appropriate time. That perhaps there will be more reporting out of San Diego. The article from Popverse is just the starting point. We'll see. Maybe I'll get in touch with Chris Arendt and say, hey, ask a few follow-up questions, and maybe we'll get some answers before the weekend is out. So yeah, that's all great news. On a personal note, I would like to just say how thrilled I am about this. Masterworks has meant a lot to me. It's one of the reasons I'm standing here right now talking to you on this medium. When I was a young man, a kid, really, a teen, in my early teens, I was in love with comic books. I loved them. And when I laid eyes on my first, let me pull this out here. This is the old Lancer Incredible Hulk reprint book. And you remember when this was what you could get for reprints. This was it. And of course, there was the Marvel Tales and, Marvel's Greatest Comics, monthly, periodicals that would come out. But those looked just like comic books, and you could never know when those were going to come out, if they were going to reproduce the comics you knew and loved, and in a way that they weren't adulterated and edited and chopped and recolored and looking weird or whatever. When I laid eyes on the Masterworks for the first time, I think it was a volume of the Hulk. It blew my mind. It was everything I knew that I wanted. I knew I wanted these classic Marvel comics reproduced in a hardcover format, because to me that just implied durability. It's something you could stick on your shelf and pull down like any of the other classics you had on your shelf of literature. It was going to restore the material in a purposeful way, chronological, methodological way, and And that's what those first volumes did. It collected all the early stories in the proper order for the most part, and it reproduced them, to my mind, perfectly. And I collected as many as my meager budget would allow. It definitely incentivized me to mow more lawns and save more money for my allowance and whatnot. And I remember even taking my Masterworks with me to college. I didn't take any comics with me, but I did take those books with me and put them on my shelf because I was proud of them. And they were on my bookshelf when I was going to college. And then flash forward in the early 2000s, I started the website. My very first foray into making a website was like, what am I going to do? And I knew I wanted to build a website just for the challenge of building a website. And I settled on doing Masterworks because I was looking around for information on them and I just couldn't find any info. And so I got my collection out and I just made a website that itemized everything about my Masterworks collection. But there were a lot of gaps, and that's where you people stepped in and helped with your conversation and your dialogue, and we sort of fleshed out what Masterworks history was, all the different volumes that had come out, and then they got back on track first in 2000, and with the Comic Craft edition, the first new one, which was the Fantastic Four volume, in the Comic Craft trade dress, and then a couple years later they started what we now call the Silver and Black run, which was very short-lived. It was about 5 or 6 volumes. One of which was a new Submariner volume. And then finally the Remasterworks in 2003 and 2004. And that's when I worked closely with Marvel to help publicize those books. Joe Havorka, a name who you might remember, who was the CEO of Tales of Wonder. We worked together to make sure that everybody knew when those books were coming out. It was within a very short window of time, 6 or 7 months, Marvel reprinted the entire line of 32 Masterworks in a new regular edition trade dress, and they also brought back the variant edition trade dress. And that's when Corey Settlemyer came on board, and over a period of a couple of years became entrenched as the Marvel Masterworks editor. So 32 volumes, and now the most recent volume was volume 389. So that should give some indication of what the last 20 some years has meant to us as classic Marvel Comics fans, and how productive this line has been. I could go on and on about this, and I will. In fact, I'm going to do a deep dive on some history of the Masterworks type stuff in future episodes of this series. But for now, I just wanted to once again raise a toast to the Marvel Masterworks. You are back, how sweet it is, and hopefully we'll have more news coming soon. So until then, thanks for watching this, and get your own beverage of choice and celebrate tonight.